In a bid to defend its dwindling balance sheet, desperate Disney is dumping India. Here we go. Renegade Online. Well, folks, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many folks watching this video, not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. Make sure to join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show. Once upon a midnight dreary, Bob Iger pondered weak and weary. Why the hell did I pay $72 billion for Fox? And of course, part of that acquisition was the Star network in India. And Hotstar, the streaming service, well, that what became Hotstar for Disney Plus Hotstar. And now we see from an original report, Bloomberg via Reuters. And now Deadline, Disney is set to sell Indian operation to Reliance Industries in a deal valuing that Indian business of Disney's at $10 billion. Bloomberg reported that a deal to sell a majority stake to rival Reliance Industries was nearing completion. Citing unnamed sources close to the agreement, it reported that Reliance values the assets that it would acquire between $7 to $8 billion, meaning Disney India is worth around $10 billion in total. This follows months of rumors that Disney would get rid of its Indian operation as its U.S. flagship operation reconfigures its global operation and attempts to bring down costs. News it could be sold or turned into a joint venture first emerged in July. Now, we've been following Disney India for quite some time, and if you watched our recent report with Disney's latest recasting of their publicly available financial data for the last 12 months or so, you saw that things like Star, India Star, and then Hotstar, India Hotstar, were broken out as separate line items, of course, giving us a little bit more transparency into what was going on there. And quite frankly, it's not a good venture for Disney. And yes, I think it's probably better off in the hands of somebody who's based in that country because there's actually a lot of advantages to Disney here. And quite honestly, I think this is a pretty good move. Disney also held talks with certain Indian billionaires who own things like Sun TV in India, along with private equity firm Blackstone. But it appears that Reliance is actually set to win the race. And that deal could be announced as soon as next month. Key point here, through joint venture Viacom 18, Reliance owns GeoCinema, the low-cost streaming service that has been chipping away at Disney Plus Hotstar's streaming market dominance in the past year. So if you can't beat them, sell to them. Now, if you recall, we covered last year when Disney re-entered the auction for the renewal for Cricket League rights, the IPL in India, which is frankly the only thing that kept Disney Hotstar really moving in that country. If you remember, Disney was successful in winning the bid to re-up their broadcast television rights that still reaches the largest amount of Indian households, but they failed in their bid to recapture the streaming rights. That went to that Viacom conglomerate. And at the time, I said that's actually not a terrible thing for Disney because that would have cost Disney another $3 billion plus to get the streaming rights back on top of the almost $3 billion that they bid to re-win the broadcast contract. And of course, there are a lot more televisions in India that still receive that IPL via linear broadcast than they do streaming. The streaming rights in 3 to 5 years may be worth significantly more, but for right now, I don't think it was a bad move for Disney not getting those streaming rights, particularly given the situation they're currently in. But what made it work is that it made Disney Hotstar very attractive for this Reliance Viacom conglomerate to acquire the rest of the Indian TV business. If you're Disney, you can sell the rest of this package back to this conglomerate. And then, of course, if you're Disney and you still want to air your own content in India, like Star Wars and Marvel content, or even some programming that Disney had produced for the Indian market, you can simply license it back to this new conglomerate for cash. Whereas up to this point, Disney has been basically doing nothing but losing money in India. Now, with the sale of this back to this conglomerate in India, Disney will not only walk away with billions of dollars in cash, but they'll probably also have a third-party licensing contract that will last for several years for that Disney content to still remain in India. Now, of course, Disney hasn't really commented on this yet, nor would they if they are this deep in the stage of negotiations. They will wait till something is formalized with Reliance, or at least supposedly Reliance. We've talked about over the years how Disney Plus has been a real problem for Disney. They set a goal of profitability for fiscal year 2024, at least by the end of fiscal year 2024. That's now less than a year away. And one of the biggest drags on that profitability was Disney Hotstar itself, where the U.S. audiences, the most core of core subscribers for Disney Plus, typically on average will generate somewhere around $6+ in average revenue per user. Those in India, on India Hotstar, Disney Plus Hotstar, were about a tenth of that, turning in somewhere around 70 cents a month. It's just a drag on the overall streaming business for Disney, and one they would be much better off without. Now, what will be interesting is the adjustment and the reaction by, say, Wall Street analysts out there, investment firms that cover the entertainment industry, and companies like Disney. Remember, for years, we lamented, long before Wall Street did, the overwhelming chase for subscribers at all cost, laying down at the altar of the subscriber, the almighty subscriber, to see who could have the most subs. And of course, as time went on, a lot of these folks realized that that really doesn't matter. It's about profitability. And sure, you don't have to be a Netflix with as many subscribers as they have to be profitable, but Netflix certainly has been profitable. We looked at their earnings just last week, and it's something to behold. Disney is trying to get to that level desperately, where they can show quarter over quarter billions of dollars of positive operating income for their DTC, or direct-to-consumer service. Now, of course, some of that will be augmented in the coming weeks as the deal with Comcast comes to a close. But getting rid of Hotstar and shedding whatever's left of their India base of subscribers, we'll find out how many more they've lost this quarter in just a couple of weeks on November 8th during Disney's earnings call. But let's say that they have around 30 million left. Well, you can just throw those 30 million subscribers for Disney DTC right out the window. That's going to put their net global subs somewhere around the low 100 million range, which is still very good and still more than enough to turn a profit each and every quarter, provided that Disney doesn't continue to produce mediocre content for way too much money like they have been with recent Star Wars and Marvel entries that just aren't moving the needle for Disney Plus anymore. It's probably best those programs take a hiatus for some time until Disney can retool that type of content, because the mediocre level of audience retention for these $200 to $300 million Disney Plus, Marvel, and Star Wars shows just simply are not worth the money. And cutting costs on something like this is just as important as increasing your revenue. Sure, you can shed dead weight like India, but if 95 to 99% of your subscribers are going to stick around through 30% price increases time and time again, well, then you know you've got something, at least for now, because that increase in revenue, obviously just as important as cutting costs. That's what Disney Plus is in a race against the clock in the next 11 months to do. They have got to show a quarter for Disney Plus, or at least for DTC in general, where they can show at least $1 in positive operating income. And just as a reminder, year to date, in the 9 months of fiscal year 2023 thus far, beginning October 1st of last year, well, at least the ones that we have reported so far, Disney has lost $2 billion on that. And I don't expect the fourth quarter, coming up on November 8th, to turn much of a corner. But it's all about this guy right here, Disney CEO Bob Iger, who for years walked into the toy shop and bought everything on the shelf with mommy and daddy's money because he didn't want the other kids to play with anything, even to the point of overpaying for Fox by tens of billions of dollars, if you believe some reports. And one of those believers, of course, is Nelson Peltz, who's set to give Bob Iger yet another proxy fight, which I don't think Nelson Peltz is going to walk away from this time. But either way, maybe Bob Iger is feeling the sting of humility now, seeing that his plans didn't work out the way his ego thought they would over the years. And now having to sell India for reportedly billions less than what they were valued at when Bob Iger acquired them in the Fox purchase, well, that's just the way that ego crumbles. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.